Have you ever felt as though the weight of the world rests upon your shoulders, an invisible yoke pressing you down with each step? Do you sense an unspoken duty to ensure the joy of others, to prove your worth to those blind to your light, or to orchestrate the chaos of life into perfect harmony? What if I told you that much of this burden was never yours to bear? That you may be exhausting your spirit on obligations that belong to no one but the wind? Imagine for a moment shedding these unseen chains. What might unfold if you ceased to manage the hearts of others, released the need to meet every expectation, and stepped free from the silent prison of over-responsibility? Today we embark on a journey to uncover 7 burdens you were never meant to carry. Revelations that could transform your perspective and liberate you from years of guilt, fear, and self-imposed demands. The final insight may forever alter how you perceive your place in the tapestry of existence. Prepare to unburden your soul, for this knowledge holds the power to set you free. Pause and reflect. What would it mean to simply allow yourself to be? The notion that we must shoulder the happiness of those around us is not a modern invention. Across the ages, cultures and spiritual traditions have woven narratives of interconnectedness, suggesting that our bonds with others demand emotional sacrifice. Yet over time, these teachings have been twisted into psychological shackles, binding us to responsibilities that erode our inner peace. In ancient Greece, the Stoic philosophers offered a timeless distinction. We control only our own actions and thoughts, not the tides of others' emotions. Epictetus, a Stoic sage, declared, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." Could the anguish you feel in striving to brighten others' lives be a mirage born of imagination rather than truth? The ancient Indian text, the Bhagavad Gita, echoes this wisdom. Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to act with compassion, but to detach from the fruits of those actions. You may offer kindness, extend love, and share wisdom, but the emotional harvest of another's heart is theirs alone to reap. To assume otherwise is to deny them the sovereignty of their own journey. Consider a deeper truth. By attempting to orchestrate others' joy, might you inadvertently hinder their growth? In shamanic traditions, it is said that every soul walks a unique path, forged through trials and triumphs. When you shield someone from sorrow or struggle, you may rob them of lessons essential to their spiritual evolution. Reflect on this. How often have you borne guilt for failing to fix another's pain? How many times have you sacrificed your own serenity to appease someone else's unrest? The wisdom of ancient mystics beckons us to release this illusion. Happiness is an inner alchemy, a choice that no one can make for another. Like a river carving its own course, each soul must find its way. To carry the weight of another's joy is to burden yourself with a task that was never yours. Since the dawn of time, those who dared to walk uncharted paths have been met with skepticism and misunderstanding. Visionaries, prophets, and philosophers faced scorn for challenging the rigid frameworks of their eras, yet their courage reshaped the world. In the Renaissance, Giordano Bruno, a radical thinker, proclaimed the universe infinite, teeming with countless worlds. His ideas were deemed heretical, and he was burned at the stake. Yet his vision endures as a cornerstone of modern cosmology. Similarly, the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, a pillar of Taoism, taught that true freedom lies in following one's inner truth, regardless of external judgment. His words in the Zhuangzi resonate: "The perfect man has no self. The holy man has no merit. The sage has no fame. Your path need not be understood by all to be valid." Consider Nikola Tesla, whose futuristic inventions were mocked as madness in his lifetime yet now illuminate our world. Or Hypatia of Alexandria, a mathematician and philosopher whose brilliance was silenced by a fearful mob, yet whose legacy inspires seekers of truth. How often have you hesitated to pursue a dream because others deemed it impractical? How many times have you dimmed your light to avoid their confusion? The mystics of old understood that authenticity often walks alone, at least in its infancy. This solitude is not a curse but a testament to courage. Like the alchemist who sought the philosopher's stone amidst ridicule, trust in your inner vision. Let others wrestle with their doubts, for your truth requires no explanation. It demands only to be lived. Humanity has long sought to tame the wild currents of emotion. From the ecstatic dances of ancient shamans to the serene meditations of Buddhist monks, cultures have crafted rituals to navigate the heart's tempests. Yet one truth shines through these traditions. Emotions are deeply personal, and each soul must face its own inner storms. The Buddha did not shield his followers from pain. He taught them to observe it with detachment, finding liberation in awareness. Likewise, the teachings of Rumi, the Sufi poet, urge us to meet our emotions as guests, allowing them to pass without clinging. Why then do we feel compelled to manage the feelings of those around us, as if their sadness or anger were ours to resolve? In ancient Egypt, the goddess Mat weighed the heart against her feather of truth, seeking a soul unburdened by unnecessary loads. When we absorb the emotions of others, striving to erase their grief or quell their frustration, we risk tipping the scales of our own heart, making our journey heavier than it need be. Reflect. How often have you felt responsible for another's discontent? How many truths have you withheld to spare someone's feelings? The alchemical wisdom of transformation teaches that growth arises from embracing the full spectrum of human experience. By shielding others from their emotions, we may offer fleeting comfort but deny them the fire of true evolution. Each soul must walk its path, and pain, like joy, is a teacher. Release the burden of managing others' hearts, and grant them the dignity of their own journey. Throughout history, those destined for greatness have often been dismissed before being celebrated. Galileo Galilei was branded a heretic for his heliocentric truths, yet his discoveries reshaped our understanding of the cosmos. The mystic poet Kabir was scorned by religious elites, yet his verses continue to inspire spiritual seekers. Your value does not hinge on the applause of others. In the esoteric traditions of Hermes Trismegistus, it is said that true power lies in the unseen, in intention, energy, and the silent vibrations of the soul. To expend your vitality, proving your worth to those who cannot see it, is to scatter your light into the void. How often have you felt invisible, your efforts overlooked, your essence undervalued? What might happen if you ceased striving for recognition and simply walked your path? In ancient Japan, the samurai cultivated mushin, a state of no mind, unswayed by external opinions. This inner stillness allowed them to act with clarity and purpose, letting their deeds speak louder than words. Embrace this wisdom, rather than seeking validation. Embody your truth. Let others underestimate you, for their blindness only amplifies the quiet power of your eventual triumph. Ask yourself, if no one ever acknowledged your worth, would you still pursue your calling? The answer reveals the depth of your self-belief. From the earliest civilizations, societal roles were rigidly prescribed. In ancient Mesopotamia, a scribe's son was destined to wield a stylus, while a warrior's heir was born to the spear. To defy these expectations was to risk exile or scorn. Yet history's greatest minds, those like Leonardo da Vinci, who blended art and science, or Sappho, whose poetry defied patriarchal norms, thrived by rejecting the paths laid before them. Why do we labor to meet the expectations of others, even when they clash with our truth? The fear of disappointing stems from an ancient need for belonging, rooted in tribal survival. To be cast out was to face death. Yet in our modern world, this instinct binds us to a cycle of self-betrayal. The Buddhist concept of samsara, the wheel of suffering fueled by attachment, warns that seeking approval traps us in endless striving. Reflect. How many choices have you made to avoid letting someone down? How often have you shaped yourself to fit another's vision? The alchemists of the Middle Ages sought not to turn lead into gold, but to transmute the soul, forging authenticity from the raw material of existence. When you release the weight of others' expectations, you step into true freedom. Let them be disappointed if they must. Your duty is to honor the spark within you. Since time immemorial, humanity has sought to impose order on the unpredictable. Ancient Sumerian kings built ziggurats to appease the gods, while Vedic seers chanted mantras to align with cosmic rhythms. Yet the wisest among them knew that control is a fleeting illusion, a shadow cast by the ego's fear of the unknown. Do You find yourself drained by the effort to fix others' problems, to ensure harmony, or to bend life to your will. This urge to control reflects a primal aversion to chaos, yet it binds us to a Sisyphean struggle. The Taoist sage Laozi, in the Tao Te Ching, teaches that the way of the universe cannot be forced. The world is ruled by letting things take their course. To resist the flow is to exhaust the spirit. What would it mean to accept that some will not change, that others will act against your wishes, that the cosmos unfolds without your constant intervention? The Sufi mystic Hafiz wrote, "The heart is a thousand-stringed instrument that can only be tuned with love. Rather than grasping for control, tune your own heart." The esoteric principle of inner transformation holds that when you shift within, the outer world mirrors your change. Release the need to manage the unmanageable and reclaim the energy to become who you are meant to be. In the alchemical traditions, the philosopher's stone was not a literal object but a metaphor for inner transformation, the ability to discern the eternal from the ephemeral. Your energy is a sacred currency, a finite resource that shapes your reality. To squander it on what lies beyond your control is to diminish your creative power. How many sleepless nights have you spent worrying about outcomes you cannot shape? How many conflicts have you fueled trying to make others see your truth? The Hermetic principle of vibration teaches that all is energy in motion. When your focus lingers on the unchangeable, you drain the wellspring of your potential. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a stone that cannot be shaped. Their tools dull, their hands weary, yet the stone remains unmoved. The wise sculptor steps back, chooses a new medium, and creates a masterpiece. So too must you redirect your energy toward what you can transform: your thoughts, your actions, your inner world. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Buddhist doctrine of impermanence reminds us that all is transient, and clinging to the uncontrollable breeds suffering. Where is your energy flowing? Are you nurturing what can grow, or battling what cannot be altered? True alchemy lies not in bending the world to your will, but in refining your consciousness. Release the burdens that are not yours. Guilt over others' happiness, the need for approval, the weight of their emotions, the chase for validation, the pressure of expectations, the illusion of control, and the waste of energy on the immutable. By letting go, you reclaim the power to shape your own destiny. As you stand at the threshold of this journey, reflect: how much of your life has been spent carrying burdens that belong to others? The wisdom of ancient traditions, from the Stoics to the Taoists, from the alchemists to the shamans, points to a singular truth: freedom begins within. You are not responsible for the happiness of others. You need not be understood by all. You are not tasked with managing their emotions. Your worth requires no external proof. You are not bound to meet every expectation. You cannot control the unfolding of life. Your energy is too precious to waste on the unchangeable. The question now is this: armed with this knowledge, what will you do? Will you release these burdens and step into the lightness of your true self? The path to liberation is yours to walk. Share this wisdom, for in freeing yourself, you light the way for others. The invisible prison is no more. Your freedom awaits.